Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's live. Hopefully we don't have the technical issues that we had last week, but we are going to talk today about 3 mistakes to avoid when you are eating low carb. Even if you aren't eating low carb, if you've been curious about it, you're gonna wanna stick around for today's live. And I'll make it, it's just gonna be a few minutes long. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it below and I will address that at the end. And also, if you're here on the replay, let me know. If you like that I'm covering this topic, please give this a big thumbs up, and or a big heart, and let me know that you like it because I'm here just for you guys. All right, so let's talk about 3 mistakes to avoid on a low carb diet. The first thing is that people think that this is going to be a mostly meat or mostly protein diet and they eat too much protein. Well, the problem with that is that low carb diets, they can be a high protein diet. They can be, but the best kind of low carb diet is going to actually be a higher fat diet that has lower protein. And the reason why that's going to be a better option for you than a high protein low carb diet is because it gets you into a state of ketosis. Now, ketosis often gets mixed up with the concept of autophagy. These are 2 separate things that can happen at the same time, but they are 2 separate concepts. The thing about ketosis that is key is that basically it is your body using fat as its primary source of fuel. And normally that's not how it goes. Normally carbs are used as the primary fuel source. So if you're eating a high protein low carb diet, you're not going to get into ketosis. And a lot of people don't understand this. They think as long as they're not eating cupcakes or cookies or whatever, they're going to get into ketosis. No. The reason is because protein can be broken down by your body in a way to extract carbs from it. So you will continue to be a carb burning machine if you are having a high protein diet when you're doing low carb. So what I recommend is if people are going to go low carb, you want to try doing a higher fat version, something that's going to get you in ketosis. And how can you measure whether you're in ketosis? There's a really cheap way to do that. You can just buy urine strips. Now, if you're in ketosis for a long period of time, those aren't going to work as well. But at first, it's going to be fine. For the first week or 2, or at the very least, it's going to be fine. They're really inexpensive at the drugstore or Costco. The second big mistake that people make when they are on a low carb diet is they eat way too much dairy. Dairy can mess you up in a lot of different ways. Dairy causes lots of different kinds of cancer, and so you just want to be careful. I'm not saying don't eat any dairy if that's what you want to do. That is your prerogative, but a lot of times when people go low carb, they go a little overboard on the dairy and they just become cheese eaters, and all they want to do is eat cheese. That can lead to all kinds of issues with your gut and issues with constipation like you won't even believe. And especially it's really bad for children, actually. So try not to overdo it on the dairy if you are going low carb. Also, dairy has lactose in it. It's a type of sugar. And so if you overdo it on that, it can, depending on what you're doing, you can go ahead and also be a carb burner, especially if you're really uncomfortable with the concept of high fat. Let's say you're having a whole bunch of low fat or skim milk. You're just going to be eating a lot of lactose and a lot of sugar, and you're never going to get into that ketosis. You're going to be inadvertently shooting yourself in the foot if you go that route. So don't go overboard on the dairy. And the third thing that people do that they really shouldn't do if they're going to do low carb is they don't eat enough veggies. And it doesn't matter really whether you do a high protein version or a high fat version of low carb. People often will think, well, I have people come and they comment to me and they say, well, I've been considering going veggie, or I've been considering going low carb. Like those 2 things have to exist independent of one another. They don't. You can be a veggie low carb person. They are out there. So eat your vegetables because you still have a lot of fiber that can get in through those vegetables. And especially if you have your non-starchy vegetables like zucchini, even eggplant counts. You can have a really nice eggplant dish. And you want to get these non-starchy veggies in and you want to, and you can cook them with, I actually, what I prefer to do if I'm going to cook in a fat, if I do that, I prefer to do cocoa butter. And the reason why I do that is because even though it might impart a little tiny bit of flavor, I like that. And also because it has a very high smoke point. And so that's going to be less dangerous for you to use. If you use olive oil, the problem with olive oil is it has a very low smoke point. And I've really been paying more attention to smoke points lately. And coconut oil also, it's funny, you think it has a little bit of a higher smoke point, but really you can easily get your coconut oil smoking if you use it in a skillet. So I recommend cocoa butter, and a little bit does go a long way. You don't have to have a huge amount to cook those veggies, but get those veggies in so that you can get your fiber in, because you can get fiber in on a low carb diet, thus getting you into ketosis, get you burning fat while you're still getting your fiber. So those are my 3 mistakes to avoid, and kind of interlaced with some tips. Let me know what you thought about this live. Let me know if you have any questions, if you want me to address it in another live, or if you just want me to address it really quickly in a comment below. And I love you all. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.